Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, and then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Spider-Man Homecoming, number 2 would be Despicable Me 3, number 3 would be Baby Driver, number 4 would be Transformers The Last Night, and number 5 would be Wonder Woman. Now, I only got 3 out of 5 of my predictions right, and that is because people flip-flopped the 4 and 5 are able to get it right because that's what the actual numbers were. So there's a lot of people who actually got this right, so I'm just gonna show a montage of their names right now, so roll that footage. Okay, now we can get this thing going. Now, number 1 was, of course, Spider-Man Homecoming. No one, obviously, didn't think this would happen, but what's really surprising here is that this is actually the second highest opening weekend for a Spider-Man film, the highest being Spider-Man 3's $151 million, but Spider-Man Homecoming was able to come in at $117 million for its opening weekend, outing out the first Spider-Man movie just by $3 million, which is very impressive for this film, especially since I thought a lot of people would for sure have a Spider-Man fatigue, especially since the Amazing Spider-Man films weren't able to open up with over $100 million. But hey, that's the MCU magic for you. It's also on the worldwide chart, sitting at $257 million, and it only needs to get about $93 million more dollars to double its $175 million budget and make a ton more money, and that's exactly what it's going to do, especially with an opening like this. I'm glad Spider-Man's back with the MCU because now it can be financially successful while also pumping out great movies, because Spider-Man Homecoming was pretty great. Moving on to number 2, which is Despicable Me 3, making $33 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $149 million, and on the worldwide chart it is at $447 million. So of course they're able to double, triple, and quadruple probably its $80 million budget. Of course, we already knew this was going to happen because Illumination sets their animation budgets pretty low so they can get more money from its returns. We all know that that's how they work, and it works for them. They make some okay movies. Some of them are good, some of them are just alright, some terrible. Despicable Me 3 is just okay. Moving on to number 3, which is Baby Driver, a movie I'm so glad is making much more money. It made $12 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $56 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $70 million, so it already was able to double its $34 million budget. It's also fair to notice that it only dropped around 35 to 40% on the weekend chart, so that is very good for this film. I'm glad that more people are going out to see it, that it didn't have such a huge drop, because this movie is a movie that everyone should be seeing because of how well made it is and just how refreshing it is to see an action comedy just be so unique and clever. Thanks, Edgar Wright. I'm glad this movie's making more money for you. Now at number 4, we have Wonder Woman, which I was surprised is sticking at number 4 like it did last week. It made $10 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $368 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $745 million. So that is also really great for this film. I'm hoping, since it is starting to go down a bit in the chart, I'm hoping that it'll be able to get to $1 billion before it leaves, or maybe not. It still needs to get past Batman v Superman's $800 or so million worldwide, but I think it will have a chance of doing that. I hope so, because I don't want Batman v Superman to be the highest grossing one worldwide. So hopefully that Wonder Woman catches up with that pretty soon. Number 5 is Transformers The Last Night, dropping even more at the box office. It made $6 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $118 million. Now, this is not very good. It's already at number 5 on its third weekend, which is not usually where the Transformers movies land at, but, because I think there's a lot of Transformers fatigue, a lot of people just saying, all right, I'm done with this, so I'm kind of glad of that. But on the worldwide chart, it is already sitting at $494 million. It's already doubled its $217 million budget, so it's doing great, and what are you going to do about that? It's not the highest grossing one worldwide as of yet, but still, it's a lot of money, which is to be expected. Hopefully the Bumblebee movie can actually be good. Please, Travis Knight, please Moving on to number 6, which is Cars 3, making $5 million, adding to a domestic total of 133. And I'm noticing that the worldwide chart, it is sitting at 193 right now. Is it going to open in any other places worldwide? I hope so, because I wouldn't want, even though this movie's just to me, I gave it a C, I still don't want it to necessarily flop for Pixar. I mean, I hate seeing one of my favorite animation studios fail. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of hoping that it does bomb just to teach Pixar like, hey, these movies suck. But at the same time, it's kind of sad to see that one of their movies isn't doing that well. So we're going to move on to a movie that does suck. Number 7 is The House, making $4 million, adding to a domestic total of $18 million. This movie is trash. I saw it a couple days ago. Holy crap, this movie is terrible. Its $18 million return, it hasn't been able to cover its $40 million budget, and it's not going to be able to double that. You can consider this film another flop. Number 8 is The Big Sick, that one movie that's, an indie or limited release darling, but you don't have the chance of seeing. It made $3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $6 million. I haven't seen this movie, so I can't comment on it, and I also don't know what its budget is, but I assume it's pretty low. Moving on to number 9, which is 47 Meters Down, making $2.7 million, adding to a domestic total of $38 million. And once again, this is still very good for this film. It is relatively low budgeted, $5 million. It was supposed to go straight to DVD, and it's doing really well at the box office. I still have to review it, and you'll know my full thoughts when the review comes out. Finally, number 10, The Beguiled. One of those. It made $2 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $7 million, and it has a budget of $10 million. I'm assuming that they didn't spend too much on marketing and stuff, so I'm assuming they're doing all right with that. They just need like $3 million more dollars. I'm not sure. Well, it made $2 million this weekend, unless it gets released in more theaters and more people are interested to see it. I don't know. This in limited release movies are weird. Anyways, time for the fun part of the predictions for next week's top 5. I'm going to predict that number 1 would be War for the Planet of the Apes. Number 2 is Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 3 is Despicable Me 3. And then I think number 4 will be Wish Upon. I think that'll have a chance to squeeze in there. Won't be a huge hit. And then number 5 I think will be Baby Driver, nudging out Wonder Woman and Transformers 5. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.